Mike's Daily Podcast.
Welcome to Mike's Daily Podcast, episode 1923. My name is Mike.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And this is my show where I talk about things that happen in your life or maybe that don't. And it's also a show where we do it daily, and so we have to be somewhere that's fun, and that's like a cafe. And it's a cafe anyway, and people are cool here, and it's nice to get away. Sometimes you gotta go where everybody is at.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And then you go, oh, so is it Peter Krause or Peter Strauss that was on
Mike's
Sports Night?
Daily
Now he's on 911.
Podcast.
He was on Parenthood all those years.
Yeah!
And they shot Parenthood in parts of the Bay Area, particularly the East Bay, and in the Alameda, in that area, Alameda Island is what it is, but it's not really. It's just a big river kind of slices it in two, and it's a lot of tidal waters that were connected, but it's an island. So they've got this houseboat area, and they used to always show that, and I thought, wouldn't that be a kick if I lived kind of near there at some point someday? And I do now. I do, with the high taxes and everything. High taxes. And you pay like an extra something in your taxes, something that they add on so that you can fund BART. And then when you get on BART and you see something like, something disgusting, and you go, how is that on my BART that I pay for? And I also paid for with my Clipper card to get in. And everybody has a Clipper card now that they're forcing you to do that. So these are the questions we ask in the Bay Area. But all in all, does every single BART train have graffiti all over it? No. They're passable, I guess. But
and here's today's podcast picture.
I like the new cars. Although somebody told me they don't like the new cars because they're like, oh, there's too much of a draft. The podcast picture is not of a BART or of that cartoon character. Let's see. So we got a bunch of stuff happening that, managing type stuff is fun. Especially when you're a manager and you may or may not get called in to work on the weekend. That's not a good thing. It hasn't happened since I took the job almost a year ago now. Hasn't happened yet, but it looks like it's getting closer and closer to possibly happening. In which case, that guy right there is going with me to work. He's a dog-friendly, work-friendly dog. Basil the Boxer. Facebook donates $25 million to fund teacher housing in South Bay. That's how it is in the Bay Area. We need a social app to pay for our housing. It's a strange world we live in. It's a different world. It's the Bay Area. And that's the thing about California, is it's always a different world. It's always something, they're trying something new that either fails horrifically or works, and the rest of the country takes it over. I cannot stand, however, if someone could fix this. Those websites, when you go to see a news story, and it is all, you go, like you'll do your search on Bing, not to give Bing a free plug, because it's not the best search engine, but occasionally it's good, because, you get points every time you search for something, and then you can use those points for Amazon, and then buy a bunch of mackerel. That's what I did. Yours truly bought a bunch of mackerel because I have asked this. This is an interesting thing. So my doctor tells me I need to have omega-3s, more omega-3s in my diet. And I also need to exercise more. So those two things at 50 for good heart health. And so that you're not taking these bizarre medicines that may work for some people. Those whatever anti-cholesterol, Lipitor and that kind of thing, which I do not want to do. I know there will be a day where I'll have to, and so to avoid that, increase the omega-3s in your diet. I already take fish oil and the flaxseed oil. My doctor said the flaxseed oil works, the fish oil is not so much. But so at any rate, I found out the top omega-3 fat, ALA, over fatty, it's fat acids. I don't know that the ALA stands for liptosis. There's something kind of, I don't have that in front of me right now. But here's the thing. On a recent podcast, I think it was last weekend, ran down the list of the top 5 of those. I think number 1 was mackerel. Number 2 was salmon. Number 3 was sardines. I think number 4 was walnuts. And I think 5 was something crazy like caviar. So imagine if you had a meal of like salmon with mackerel on the side and walnuts sprinkled on top, maybe with a sardine dessert. That would be an overload and disgusting. But I did get mackerel in the mail from Amazon. Mackerel in the mail, and it was very good. We actually did this weird thing, my lovely lady friend and I, where we made these mackerel jalapeno poppers. We had some jalapenos, stuffed them with mackerel, put some cheese on them. It was interesting. I guess to top it all off, you could put bacon on it, but that would defeat the purpose, because then that's the bad fats. But I can't stand newspaper news websites and the crap they cloud your screen with when you click on them. So you're searching on Bing, and oh, this is an interesting story. What? For example, is it Holly Hunter? No, Helen Hunt. Helen Hunt. I always get those two mixed up. Helen Hunt, who was on Mad About You. And as good as it gets, I think. So she apparently was in a car crash. The guy who pulled her out of the wreckage didn't even recognize her. Or didn't... I mean, not because she was all disfigured or anything, but because he just didn't recognize Helen Hunt. Helen Hunt is very unrecognizable in the world. And I know this for a fact because I was on a cable car with her. About 7 years ago, I was on a cable car with her. I didn't recognize her. Nothing went off in my brain that Helen Hunt was on this car with me. But my then wife recognized her, and a couple other people. But, oh yeah, this one guy started staring at her, and whoever the guy was with Helen Hunt, maybe her husband, he says to him, hey, that's not cool. Don't stare. Yeah, that happened in San Francisco. And, the only thing I remember from that trip, I hate getting on the cable cars in San Francisco. You have to wait forever, and there's all these tourists. God love them. I'm a tourist when I come to San Francisco. Some people they've never been, and it's a confusing city. And you get on those cable cars, and you don't understand what this is. It's old transportation, and it's so old. In fact, all these weird rules got grandfathered in, where you can literally be hanging off the thing. Well, no, you can't be hanging off of it, but you have to be inside. But it is just this weird mode of travel, and how more of them don't get hit by cars, I don't know. Because the traffic already is insane in San Francisco. It's so bad, in fact, I, a Bay Area resident, have not driven myself in San Francisco. I can't even remember. I think it's been over 5 years. I always take BART into the city. And, because it's just, you can't move. You get in there, and there's all kinds of things that have the right of way, like these big trolley cars, the cable cars, and then you have your street cars, and then you have your buses that are attached to electric wires. And then now there's all these people on their little push scooters that are laying everywhere, and you can rent them with an app. And there's bicycles for rent that you can unlock with an app and be riding around. So there's all this extra pedestrian traffic everywhere. It's insane. It never stops. So I don't go around San Francisco in a car. I'll go there with public transportation and then walk. Which means that there are parts of San Francisco that I probably will not be able to go to unless I take a million buses and walk and all that. But so what we get back to Helen Hunt, the one thing I remember about that cable car trip was somebody saying, oh yeah, it's like herding cats. And that was the first time I heard that expression. And now I use it all the time because managing is like herding cats. Okay, all that to say, wow, we went down a crazy rabbit hole. Rabbit Hole Radio. It's the best. I cannot stand... So these websites start just clouding your screen up. And they got to make a buck, I understand, these news websites. But still, it's... An all-female spacewalk happened, is what I found out by just clicking on Bing just now. A historic all-female spacewalk marks a new milestone for NASA. With Jessica Meyer and Christina Koch, they will hold a 5.5-hour spacewalk to fix the power source on the ISS. It's not good to have those combinations of letters, especially now with the whole Syria thing. But see now, when I click on that, because it is through MSN, and Bing is, Microsoft, MSN, they're all together. But if you click on it that way, you suddenly don't get all these ads popping up everywhere. It's wonderful! And you see this awesome photo of these two ladies with very curly hair, both of them. Let's hear it for curly hair. I used to have that when I had hair. And they're holding these awesome, drill guns, space drill guns in their hands. They're these big silvery things that could also stand in for 1960s bad B-movie, sci-fi movie laser guns. We've come to your Earth to take your women. No, you don't want our women because they will zap you. Time for a special sound effect that involves zapping of some kind. Let's see. Pew! That's as good as I could go today. Pew! Alright, a little better. Okay, so to wrap up, eat your omega-3s. Salmon's great. Now, all this stuff is expensive. The mackerel thing, I was amazed by the price. Sardines are cheaper. And basically, they taste the same, in my opinion. And they're packed in oil, and you can pack it in. I found in olive oil, or they put them in the soybean oil, which apparently soybeans they got omega-3s in them too. And remember to go as anti-inflammatory as you can. Ginger is really good. Ginger, of course, I'm talking about the character from Fantasy Island, Gilligan's Island, one of those islands. But also the wonderful, amazing ginger root. And now, of course, if you go to Trader Joe's, they sell them there. I'm not sure about Safeway where they got them or whatever store near you, Kroger, Publix, whatever. But yeah, it's awesome to you take the ginger, you can cut a piece off, and I threw it in my smoothie, and it gave my smoothie this interesting bite. But I felt really good after I drank it. So I don't know if that's something that actually works. But they say ginger is an anti-inflammatory. And I guess that's NASA astronauts conduct first all-women spacewalk. Isn't that a wonderful thing? Okay, so my podcast picture today, I'm relying on my lovely lady friend lately. My life has come to this where I need a proxy to go out and find things in life that are interesting and then take the pictures so I could put them on the podcast. But my lovely lady friend was at this interesting area in Sinol. I believe it's called the Sinol Wilderness Trail. It's over east of... It's like north of Fremont, kind of northeast of Fremont. East of Sinol, in the mountains. There's a thing called Little Yosemite. And it looks amazing. I have got to go there. I've been to so many places in the Bay Area, as you know, if you've listened to this show for a long time and you've seen all the podcast pictures. But, yeah, this beautiful creek. I'm posting a picture of this. You can see it at MikesDailyPodcast.com. And I need to go to there as soon as possible. What do you think about all this? You can call me 336MM Daily. That's 3 plus 3 equals 6MM as in Mike Matthews Daily. And that's what this podcast has been the past couple of days. Woohoo. Oh, man, where's my woohoo? Yes. Wait, after you say something like, where's my woohoo, you have to say...
Phrasing?
Now, let's say hi to these people. Hello, my commercials, Madame Rootabega, and I am so excited about Halloween. Oh, you just scared me. Yeah, that's an interesting disguise you have on. Oh, wait a minute, that's not a disguise, that's how you dress usually. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, were you offended? Yes. I mean, no. Okay, look who else is here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant. Wait, I said that wrong.
Okay, you can do it again. I'll chop it out.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
By the way, have you ever heard that on the radio or something where they go, oh, yeah, we'll just edit this out, and they never do, and you heard that? Oh, it's like getting a little piece of Christmas gold magic. And look who else is here. And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Yeah, he just parked the car.
Yeah, I parked the car. Do you know that?
My advice to you is to start drinking heavily.
Now, we are going to wrap up the show. But first, Steve Martin has to say...
Excuse me!
Because that's what you have to do this weekend. You have to say to someone, excuse me. This is my weekend. Don't mess it up. I only get one weekend a week, so let me have a good one. And back off, man. Next show, it's going to be the wonderful Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the Engineer. Thank you for listening to episode 1923, 1923, yes.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!